Will Forte walked onto Jimmy Kimmel's set to promote his new Netflix series, but one unpredictable joke turned the entire room ice cold. What started as light-hearted banter spiraled into a tense, uncomfortable moment and led to a clash no one saw coming. Why would Forte risk such a jab? Can Kimmel keep his cool? What could make a comedy bit turn so raw? The Hollywood studio of Jimmy Kimmel Live hummed with energy. Kimmel's charm was dialed in. Forte's oddball humor was ready to shine. His Saturday Night Live roots and quirky roles were perfect for laughs. The plan was clear. Trade jabs. Plug the show. Keep it fun. No need for real heat. Just a segment to spark clicks. Forte strolled out. His grin was wide. His eyes scanned the crowd. He was set to match Kimmel's wit. His improv skills were a weapon. He was ready to riff or dodge. Kimmel opened with a playful dig at Forte's wild MacGruber stunts. The crowd laughed. Forte nodded. He tossed back a quip. The vibe was loose. Fans loved the ease. They expected no storm. Was this just a friendly roast or a spark waiting to flare? The air shifted when Forte's joke landed wrong. He jabbed at Kimmel's late-night grind. He suggested his kids barely saw him. It was a fictional twist on Kimmel's real family life. The crowd froze. Kimmel's smile faded. His reply was sharp. He called it low, not funny. His tone was tight. Fans tensed. They sensed a rift. Forte's smirk held. He doubled down. He asked if Kimmel hid burnout behind laughs. Why go there? Did Forte misjudge or crave the edge? The studio grew heavy. Cameras tightened. Crew glanced at monitors. The script was useless. Kimmel's hands gripped the desk. Forte's next move loomed. Fans were split. Some craved drama. Others were uneasy. The stage turned from comedy hub to battleground. The air was electric. The joke was a flashpoint. Kimmel's patience thinned. The night was ready to ignite. A raw clash brewed. No one was braced for the fallout. The tension thickened as Forte's jab about Kimmel's family life hung in the air. The audience's laughter was gone. Whispers replaced it. Some shifted in their seats while others leaned forward. Kimmel sat rigid at his desk. His fingers tapped lightly. He tried to pivot. He mentioned Forte's new Netflix series. Its quirky humor was a nod to his Saturday Night Live days. His tone stayed sharp. Fans sensed the strain. Forte's eyes gleamed. He ignored the series talk. The fight was too raw to sidestep. Forte pressed harder. His voice was calm but biting. He suggested Kimmel's late-night grind masked personal strain. His improv flair turned the jab personal. It wasn't just comedy. It questioned Kimmel's balance. The crowd tensed. A few gasped. Kimmel's jaw tightened. His reply was swift. He said Forte's joke wasn't clever. It was mean. His family was off limits. The audience stirred. Some nodded. Others craved more heat. Forte's smirk widened. He asked if Kimmel dodged truth with humor. The dig was bold. It aimed to sting. Kimmel pushed back. His voice rose. He argued Forte's humor crossed a line. It didn't entertain. It hurt. His emotional openness was real. Fans knew his family stories. The jab felt like betrayal. Forte's eyes narrowed. He doubled down. He said Kimmel used his charm to hide exhaustion. "You're just a tired hack," Forte snapped. The crowd gasped. Some cheered. Others froze. The insult was raw. Kimmel's hands clenched. His control slipped. The blow landed hard. It was public. It was meant to burn. The producer signaled for a break. The move was urgent. Kimmel ignored it. His eyes locked on Forte. He refused to back down. The argument grew hotter. Forte's boldness surged. Kimmel scrambled for ground. The stage was no comedy haven. It was a battlefield. Fans were hooked. The energy was electric. The joke had lit a fuse. The drama climbed. Kimmel's resolve hardened. Forte's fire burned. The night veered toward chaos. The clash grew fiercer as Forte's insult echoed through the studio. The audience's murmurs swelled. Some clapped for Forte's audacity, while others watched Kimmel's reaction. The host's hands gripped the desk. His eyes burned. He tried to shift gears. He brought up Forte's Saturday Night Live sketches. Those absurd characters had defined his career. His tone was clipped. Fans felt the tension. Forte's grin stayed sharp. He brushed off sketch talk. The fight was too heated to detour. Forte struck again. His voice was steady but cruel. He claimed Kimmel's humor hid a fraying life. His improv roots fueled the jab. It wasn't just a joke. It questioned Kimmel's core. The crowd hushed. A few whispered. Kimmel's shoulders tensed. His response was quick. He said Forte's comedy wasn't bold. It was reckless. It mocked real struggles. His emotional openness was known. Fans recalled his tearful monologues. The attack felt personal. Forte's eyes glinted. He pressed further. He asked if Kimmel's charm was just a mask for failure. Kimmel fired back. His voice was loud. He argued Forte's jab wasn't funny. It was cheap. It exploited his life for laughs. The audience stirred. Some cheered. Others stayed silent. Forte's smirk faded. He countered. He said Kimmel leaned on sentiment to dodge truth. The insult stung deeper. Kimmel's knuckles whitened. His shame was raw. Forte's snapback held the stage. Fans were split. The energy crackled. The fight was alive. No one could look away. The producer waved frantically. The show was slipping. Kimmel ignored the signal. He leaned forward. He asked if Forte's humor aimed to wound or just to trend. The jab was pointed. Forte's posture stiffened. His voice was low. He accused Kimmel of playing victim to win fans. The crowd quieted. The clash was brutal. Kimmel's strike landed. Forte's fire still burned. The night teetered. The joke was a spark. The drama soared. Kimmel's fight grew. Forte's edge sharpened. The confrontation burned hotter as Kimmel's jab about Forte's motives hung heavy. The audience's whispers grew louder. Some cheered Kimmel's defiance, while others watched Forte's next move. The host leaned back in his chair. His eyes stayed locked. He tried to pivot. He mentioned Forte's MacGruber film. Its wild humor had cemented his fame. His tone was taut. Fans sensed the rift. Forte's gaze was cold. He dismissed film talk. The fight was too raw to shift. Forte hit back. His voice was low but sharp. He claimed Kimmel's emotional stories were a ploy for sympathy. His improv flair made the jab cut deeper. It wasn't just comedy. It attacked Kimmel's heart. The crowd tensed. A few gasped. Kimmel's hands tightened. His reply was fierce. He said Forte's humor wasn't daring. It was cruel. It mocked real pain. His family stories were raw. Fans knew his honesty. The strike felt like a knife. Forte's smirk returned. He asked if Kimmel hid weakness behind tears. Kimmel surged forward. His voice was steady. He argued Forte's joke didn't spark laughs. It spread hurt. It used his life for clout. The audience murmured. Some clapped. Others stayed hushed. Forte's eyes narrowed. He countered. He said Kimmel leaned on feelings to dodge hard truths. The blow landed. Kimmel's chest tightened. His shame was exposed. Forte's snapback held sway. Fans were divided. The energy was alive. The fight was unrelenting. The producer signaled again. The show was unraveling. Kimmel pressed on. He asked if Forte's comedy was meant to destroy or just to shock. The strike was bold. Forte's jaw clenched. His voice was thin. He accused Kimmel of using his platform to play martyr. The crowd stirred. The clash was fierce. Kimmel's blow hit hard. Forte's fire still flickered. The night was electric. The joke was aflame. The drama climbed. Kimmel's resolve strengthened. Forte's stance wavered. The battle raged on as Kimmel's piercing question about Forte's motives lingered. The audience's murmurs grew tense. Some clapped for Kimmel's fire, while others watched Forte's next step. The host sat forward. His gaze was steady. He shifted to Forte's TV roles. Those quirky parts in The Last Man on Earth had built his name. His tone was hard. Fans felt the strain. Forte's eyes flickered. He ignored role talk. The fight was too fierce to dodge. Forte swung back. His voice was thin but cutting. He claimed Kimmel's emotional monologues were a trick to dodge scrutiny. His improv edge sharpened the jab. It wasn't just humor. It struck Kimmel's soul. The crowd hushed. A few stirred. Kimmel's hands clenched. His reply was swift. He said Forte's comedy wasn't smart. It was vicious. It twisted real struggles. His family stories were honest. Fans knew his heart. The attack felt raw. Forte's smirk faded. He asked if Kimmel used tears to hide flaws. Kimmel pressed harder. His voice was firm. He argued Forte's joke didn't amuse. It wounded. It exploited his life for buzz. The audience buzzed. Some cheered. Others stayed silent. Forte's jaw tightened. He countered. He said Kimmel hid behind feelings to avoid truth. The blow stung. Kimmel's chest heaved. His shame was bare. Forte's snapback held ground. Fans were split. The energy was electric. The fight was alive. "Lida," producer signaled urgently. The show was crumbling. Kimmel pushed forward. He asked if Forte's humor was meant to ruin or just to grab clicks. The strike was sharp. Forte's posture sagged. His voice was weak. He accused Kimmel of leaning on drama to win loyalty. The crowd quieted. The clash was brutal. Kimmel's blow landed. Forte's fire dimmed. The night crackled. The joke was ablaze. The drama soared. Kimmel's strength grew. Forte's grip slipped. The showdown burned brighter as Kimmel's question about Forte's destructive humor hung in the air. The audience's whispers grew sharp. Some cheered Kimmel's surge, while others watched Forte's unraveling. The host leaned into the desk. His voice was steady. He turned to Forte's comedy specials. Those wild stand-up bits had fueled his fame. His tone was fierce. Fans sensed the shift. Forte's eyes darted. He dismissed comedy talk. The fight was too raw to escape. Forte tried to rally. His voice was faint but harsh. He claimed Kimmel's heartfelt stories were a shield against truth. His improv roots gave the jab bite. It wasn't just a quip. It hit Kimmel's core. The crowd tensed. A few murmured. Kimmel's jaw locked. His reply was quick. He said Forte's humor wasn't bold. It was spiteful. It mocked real pain. His family tales were true. Fans knew his soul. The strike felt deep. Forte's grin vanished. He asked if Kimmel hid failure behind sobs. Kimmel struck back. His voice was strong. He argued Forte's joke didn't spark joy. It spread harm. It used his life for clicks. The audience stirred. Some clapped. Others stayed hushed. Forte's hands shook. He countered. He said Kimmel leaned on tears to dodge reality. The blow weakened. Kimmel's shoulders squared. His shame was fading. Forte's snapback lost force. Fans rallied to Kimmel. The energy crackled. The fight was fierce. The producer waved for a cut. The show was breaking. Kimmel pressed on. He asked if Forte's comedy was meant to break or just to trend. The jab was precise. Forte's stance crumbled. His voice was thin. He accused Kimmel of using emotion to play hero. The crowd silenced. The clash was unrelenting. Kimmel's strike burned. Forte's fire flickered. The night was alive. The joke was a torch. The drama peaked. Kimmel's power rose. Forte's hold broke. The clash hit a new peak, as Kimmel's question about Forte's cruel comedy silenced the room. The audience waited. Some cheered Kimmel's rise. Others watched Forte falter. Kimmel shifted to Forte's Netflix show. Its odd humor echoed his Saturday Night Live days. His voice stayed hard. Fans felt the heat. Forte ignored the show talk. The fight was too fierce to pivot. Forte tried to strike. His voice was weak. He said Kimmel's emotional talks were a dodge for weakness. His improv jab aimed deep. It wasn't just comedy. It hit Kimmel's life. The crowd hushed. Kimmel fired back. He said Forte's humor wasn't clever. It was mean. It twisted real pain. His family stories were true. Fans knew his truth. Forte pushed on. He asked if Kimmel hid failure with drama. Kimmel leaned in. His voice was clear. He said Forte's joke didn't entertain. It hurt. It used his struggles for buzz. The audience stirred. Some clapped. Forte tried again. He said Kimmel leaned on tears to avoid truth. The jab fell flat. Kimmel's shame was gone. Forte's snapback weakened. Fans turned to Kimmel. The fight was his. The energy surged. The producer signaled for a break. Kimmel pressed on. He asked if Forte's comedy was meant to ruin lives or chase fame. The jab was bold. Forte slumped. His voice was faint. He said Kimmel played victim to win fans. The crowd stayed silent. Kimmel's strike landed. Forte's fire was dim. The night burned. The joke was ablaze. The drama rose. Kimmel's strength soared. Forte's stance broke. The fight reached its height as Kimmel's question about Forte's cruel intent silenced the studio. The audience held its breath. Some cheered Kimmel's dominance. Others watched Forte crumble. Kimmel turned to Forte's film roles. His absurd parts in MacGruber had built his fame. His voice was firm. Fans felt the tension. Forte ignored film talk. The clash was too fierce to shift. Forte tried to hit back. His voice was faint. He said Kimmel's emotional stories were a trick to hide flaws. His improv jab aimed deep. It wasn't just humor. It struck Kimmel's life. The crowd stayed quiet. Kimmel fired back. He said Forte's comedy wasn't smart. It was vicious. It mocked real pain. His family tales were honest. Fans knew his heart. Forte pushed on. He asked if Kimmel used drama to dodge truth. Kimmel pressed forward. His voice was steady. He said Forte's joke didn't amuse. It wounded. It used his struggles for clout. The audience stirred. Some clapped. Forte tried again. He said Kimmel leaned on tears to win fans. The jab was weak. Kimmel's shame was gone. Forte's snapback faded. Fans rallied to Kimmel. The fight was his. The energy surged. The producer signaled for security. Kimmel pushed on. He asked if Forte's humor was meant to break or just to shock. The jab was sharp. Forte slumped further. His voice was gone. He said Kimmel played martyr to gain loyalty. The crowd stayed silent. Kimmel's strike burned. Forte's fire was out. The night was alive. The joke was aflame. The drama peaked. Kimmel's power surged. Forte's defeat loomed. The battle neared its end as Kimmel's question about Forte's vicious humor silenced the room. The audience waited. Some cheered Kimmel's control. Others watched Forte collapse. Kimmel shifted to Forte's TV cameos. His quirky roles in 30 Rock had boosted his name. His voice was steady. Fans felt the shift. Forte ignored cameo talk. The clash was too raw to dodge. Forte tried to fight. His voice was faint. He said Kimmel's emotional talks were a ploy to hide weakness. His improv jab aimed low. It wasn't just comedy. It hit Kimmel's life. The crowd stayed silent. Kimmel struck back. He said Forte's humor wasn't bold. It was cruel. It twisted real struggles. His family stories were true. Fans knew his truth. Forte pushed on. He asked if Kimmel used drama to mask failure. Kimmel leaned forward. His voice was firm. He said Forte's joke didn't spark laughs. It caused pain. It used his life for clicks. The audience clapped. Forte tried again. He said Kimmel leaned on tears to dodge reality. The jab was empty. Kimmel's shame was gone. Forte's snapback was dead. Fans turned to Kimmel. The fight was his. The energy roared. The producer called for security. Kimmel pressed on. He asked if Forte's comedy was meant to destroy or just to trend. The jab was fierce. Forte sank. His voice was gone. He said Kimmel played victim to win loyalty. The crowd stayed quiet. Kimmel's strike burned. Forte's fire was gone. The night was electric. The joke was ash. The drama soared. Kimmel's triumph was near. Forte's defeat was set. The night closed in victory as Kimmel's question about Forte's cruel humor ended the fight. The audience erupted. Cheers shook the studio. Most stood for Kimmel's win. Others watched Forte's exit. Kimmel faced the crowd. He mentioned Forte's stand-up bits. Those wild sets had fueled his rise. His voice was calm. Fans stayed locked on. Forte's head hung low. He ignored stand-up talk. The clash was over. Forte tried one last jab. His voice was broken. He said Kimmel's emotional stories were a trick to hide flaws. His improv quip aimed weak. It wasn't comedy. It struck Kimmel's life. The crowd stayed silent. Kimmel struck back. He said Forte's humor wasn't bold. It was mean. It hurt real lives. His family tales were honest. Fans knew his heart. Forte tried again. He asked if Kimmel used tears to dodge truth. The words were dust. Kimmel sealed the win. His voice was clear. He said Forte's joke didn't spark joy. It caused pain. It used his struggles for fame. The audience roared. Most cheered. Forte's voice was gone. He muttered about drama with no truth, just show. Kimmel stood tall. His shame was erased. Forte's snapback was dead. Fans united behind Kimmel. The fight was done. The energy soared. Security stepped in. Kimmel faced Forte. He said his comedy was noise, and his jabs were hollow. The words crushed. Forte stood still. He tried to speak, but failed. Security took his arm. Kimmel told him to leave. Forte was led off. The crowd cheered louder. The clash was finished. Kimmel's truth was a light. Forte's fire was nothing. The night was whole. The joke was gone. The drama ended. Kimmel's triumph was complete.